Ethiopian Airlines said in a Twitter post Monday that searchers have recovered both black boxes from the flight that crashed Sunday. Ethiopia is observing a day of mourning for the 157 people who died when the Boeing 737 MAX 8 jet headed for Nairobi went down just 6 minutes after takeoff from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia's capital. At least 20 of the passengers were headed to the annual assembly of the UN Environment Programme, UNEP, at its global headquarters in Nairobi, the capital of Kenya. Flag was at half-staff when the delegates arrived at the meeting Monday. A minute of silence was observed at the beginning of the gathering in remembrance of their fellow workers. Delegates at the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP World Environmental Forum observe a minute's silence in memory of the victims of Ethiopian Airlines Flight ET-302 plane crash at the UN complex within Jijiri in Nairobi, Kenya, March 11, 2019. Let us reflect that our colleagues were willing to travel and to work far from their homes and loved ones to make the world a better place to live, Maimouna Sharif, head of UN Habitat, said in an address to the assembly. Ethiopian Airlines has grounded its fleet of Boeing 737 MAX 8 jets, following a deadly crash Sunday that killed all 157 on board. The plane's pilot had been given clearance to return to the airport after experiencing some difficulties, Tewolde Gebremariam, the head of Ethiopian Airlines, said. The Ethiopian Airlines CEO said he could not rule out anything as the cause of Sunday's crash that happened just moments after the passenger jet took off from Addis Ababa. Ethiopian Airlines is one of the safest airlines in the world, Gebremariam told reporters while visiting the crash site. He stood inside the crater where the Boeing 737 MAX Extension 8 went down with the ground littered with plane parts and body bags. China, Indonesia, and the Cayman Islands have grounded their Boeing 737 MAX 8 jets. The flight was on its way to Nairobi. Citizens from at least 35 countries were on the plane, including 19 United Nations workers. The Secretary-General was deeply saddened at the tragic loss of lives in the airplane crash today near Addis Ababa, a spokesman for Antonio Guterres said. He conveys his heartfelt sympathies and solidarity to the victims' families and loved ones, including those of United Nations staff members, as well as sincere condolences to the government and people of Ethiopia, the spokesman added. Rescuers removed body bags from the scene of an Ethiopian Airlines flight that crashed shortly after takeoff at a Haray near Bishoftu, or Debre Zeit, some 50 kilometers 31 miles south of Addis Ababa, in Ethiopia Sunday, March 10, 2019. U.S. State Department Deputy Spokesman Robert Palladino said in a statement late Sunday, the U.S. Department of State extends our deepest condolences to the families and friends of those killed in the tragic crash of Ethiopia Airlines Flight ET-302. We can confirm that at least 8 U.S. citizens were among the victims. We extend our heartfelt sympathies to the families and loved ones of the passengers and crew on board and stand ready to support the Ethiopian Airlines team, Boeing said in a statement late Sunday. A Boeing technical team will be traveling to the crash site to provide technical assistance under the direction of the Ethiopia Accident Investigation Bureau in the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board. The Ethiopian Airlines jet went down in clear weather near the city of Bishoftu shortly after takeoff. The Boeing 737 MAX Extension 8 was a new jet, delivered to the airline in November, according to Plane Spotters, a civil aviation database. Flight Radar 24, which tracks planes in real time, posted on Twitter that the vertical speed of the Ethiopian aircraft was unstable after takeoff. The Boeing 737 MAX Extension 8 is the same model that took off in October from Jakarta and crashed into the Java Sea a few minutes later, killing all 189 people on board a Lion Air flight. A relative reacts as he leaves the information center following the Ethiopian Airlines Flight ET-302 plane crash at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport (JKIA) in Nairobi, Kenya, March 10, 2019. Investigators with Indonesia's National Transport Safety Committee issued a preliminary report on that disaster in November. The report was based on information from the flight data recorder, and said the plane's automatic safety system repeatedly pushed the plane's nose downward despite the pilot's desperate attempts to maintain control. They believe the automated system that prevents the plane from stalling if it flies too high on Boeing's new version of its legendary passenger jet received faulty information from sensors on the fuselage. Watch. U.S. experts to help with plane crash probe the plane had a similar problem on a flight from the resort island of Bali to Jakarta the night before the fatal crash. The investigators said the plane was not airworthy and should have been grounded after that flight. Boeing had planned to unveil its latest 777X wide-body Wednesday in Seattle, but has cancelled the debut to instead focus on supporting Ethiopian Airlines, according to Reuters news agency.